right, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a something called an Emberwood. I was trying to make this one yesterday, and I actually accidentally made a new color, which I really like. And that color is called the Hearthside. This one, that one's a little bit more brown, a little darker, a little deeper in shade and tone. And this one, the Emberwood, is designed to be a lot brighter. So let me get our ends cut here. And the nice thing is you can just cut off that end. Again, today we're going to go with an 11-inch. The reason we're going with 11-inch is I've noticed that it's a little easier to hold what we're trying to do with the pipes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so the end of our rockers can be right there. Kind of want to make sure it's even on both sides. All right, hold it in place. And there's our spot right there. All right, and that is going to be one good looking rocker. Look at that. Fold is nice. It's a little bit thicker leather, and that end is really crisp. So we're going to start with beveling our edges here. And the nice thing about beveling is that it just takes that edge right off. It's clean. It gives it a nice rounded feeling to this one side. And the reason we are not beveling the inside is so that it holds it a little bit tighter. And it gives it that nice roughed edge feeling. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take off my watch. All right, a little bit of juice for the road, and we are going to start by putting on some antiquing. Now, the first thing we want to do is get these gloves on, because antiquing is one of those processes that gets real dirty real quick. So we're going to make sure we have a little layer of protection. I have places to be and things to do later, so I got to make sure that our time here is well spent and the things that we're doing are done well. All right, so as I've said before, paper towels are a thing of beauty. They're my favorite thing to use when it comes to daubing on antiquing finish. And so we are going to start with this as a base today. We're going to give it a little bit more punctuation using this. And again, we're not using a whole lot, but we're using enough to make it get a nice even coat there. And we do want to get the edges. We want to really kind of make this side look a little bit more weathered and worn, and it's going to look old. It's going to look antiqued, which is why we're using antiquing gel. Go figure. And we're going to get around that edge there, get that end. And we're going to just darken everything up just a touch, just enough. Just a little bit more. And we're just kind of pulling it. Now this is going to darken our piece a bit, but that's okay. That's kind of what we're going for. It's just a little bit darker than white. We don't want that bright white to be on there. And that gives us just a nice shadow over these edges, keeping everything nice and clean. So that one little spot down there. So I'm actually going to Resolene this a couple times once we get to that portion. This is almost done here. There we go. That nice darkened edge. And last but not least is our end down here. We're gonna get a little bit on there. Get a little bit there, and we do want to make sure that we try to get as much of that off as possible. But the thing is, we did pull along this side so that it kind of gets that natural full color we're going for. Darken up any super light spots. Get that end, just make sure it's covered. Darken just a titch right there, and we are good. That. So we're only going to use the one level of antiquing. We don't want a whole lot as far as antique goes. Again, we're going to go back to our Resolene. And the Resolene is actually going to do two things. It's going to shine this edge. It's three things, pardon me. It's going to shine the edge, or the side here that we're working on. It's going to pull just a little bit of that antique up out of the leather itself. See, there's a little bit on there, and that really gets that to the place that we want it. So when we go ahead and we put on our mahogany, it's actually going to shine up really, really nicely. I'm gonna do another layer here. There's a couple of reasons for that. We're really trying to protect that leather from the mahogany as much as possible. And I am using straight mahogany. And the reason I was doing a whole bunch of layers and a whole bunch of different things, and the reason we're not doing a whole bunch of layers is because we don't need to use that much Resolene as it's turning out, and we can still get the color we're looking for. All right, so we're gonna leave that open. I'm gonna use the same, there's your little cap there. All right, so I'm going to flip it over. We're using the same thing, but you're going to see a technique that you probably won't see in a whole lot of other places. So that's like that. I'm going to flip it over so that the ink is inside. The stain, the dye, however you want to call it, is on the inside. So very little is going to be there. And so it's going to leave a light residue. Yep. And that's the color we're going for. Look at that. And we're almost, yep, and we're done. Use the dry side to pull up a little bit of that. We're going to do, again, just a smidge more on each end. And pull it through. And that looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Very, very nice. All right, so that's it. There's no more data going on after that, which might surprise some of you all, but at this, at the same time, we're not going for perfection. We're going for specificity on the color we're using. And the nice thing with Resin, again, it's going to pull up some of that color just enough to give it a shine and a little bit more light in the depths of that color and really cause it to kind of glow. Look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. Let's do a little compare and contrast. Yep, that's pretty close to the same color there. And it's not quite as bright, and that's okay. This was a little bit too much cherry. So this is going to be more along a wood grain and level that I'm going for here. So that's actually perfect right there. I'm going to seal up our Resin there. And then I can switch over to Tokonol. Okay, we've got our Tokonol, got our canvas, and actually I'm going to switch canvas pieces. That one is a little bit rough, which means I need a handy dandy scissors. Cut myself a small piece of canvas. Now the nice thing about canvas, you don't need much. Just a square will do. That much, that's all you need. So we're gonna take a nice little dab there. The reason that we're doing it from the top side is that we can go over on the top and not worry about it at all. And there's that little pop we're looking for. All right, and that's where we need to start again. Now, as you notice, the inside of this is still white. It is still uncolored. And we are going to go back and darken that up a little bit. Now that edge is getting really good there. We want to pull that off the top. And just get the last little and there we are. Nice shine to it, getting pretty good there. And the nice part is that if we do a little bit of, overshine into the back, we're going to put mink oil on it, and that's going to age this fairly well here. Give it a nice shine, darken it a little bit, make it look like it wasn't, put out of a factory or something. And it wasn't. So you can't count these hands as a factory, but I don't. go. We're getting that edge really nicely done there. And that is beautiful. All right. Now we're going to lay our tokenol. Take off the gloves here because we're pretty well set. And last thing we're going to do is just take the rest of that and shine it. All right. Now to kind of just buff out the edges one last time. All right, you'll see that. Got a very nice finish on that edge. And that allows us to move into our mink oil. Mink oil, very simple. You can put it right on your finger and shine it down. Now mink oil does two things. It leaves a rough interior. That's what we need. And it darkens the interior, which is also what we need. So that leaves us with a nice interior for holding our pipes, holding anything we want on pretty much any leather. And it's going to take a minute to dry, but that's okay. And you can probably see that getting a little bit darker as we're going. And it's going to have a little bit of shine. Just wanting to get in all the cracks and crevices, all the creases, and it's still got that rough inside edge. But that's it. Not a very difficult process. So there's our nearly finished rocker. And take all the little spots there. Come back over, make sure there's no spillover from the mink oil anywhere. And now we can fold over. Yeah, and that gives us just enough roughness to keep that edge. This looks really good, really straight. And now we need to punch a hole, punch a big old hole. So we're gonna take our little punch here, hand punch, to make sure that everything is square, lined up, ready to go. Hold it nice and tight. Find a good middle spot right out there. And we're going to use a lot of strength to punch all the way through. That punches really well. That looks really nice. Make sure those fingerprints off of there. But not too shabby. That is what we're talking about. Got a handy dandy buffalo nickel here. That's going to slide right into the end there. Gives a really good contrast. I like that. Slide right in. Really got to push down, make sure that goes in there. And then we fold over. Move stuff here, fold over. Tighten our screw down. My nickel turned a little bit, so I'm gonna have to come back and redo it here. Pop it out. Pop it back in, where it's centered and level. And there we go. That is our finished pipe rocker. That is beautiful. The inside is not white, which is the best part. And to finish it off, our finished pipe, our Peterson Bulldog. And I love that. That sits very well. Now I made this a little big, and there's a reason why. Because I have another friend that likes to come and sit in here. Actually, there we go. Let me find my other one. It's hanging up in the trapper ember rack. Now, look at that. That holds that beautifully. That can sit in. Yeah, it's not going to stay there, but it's not going to rock either. That looks great. All right, thank you, friends. This has been another pipe rocker build with Portage Leathers. Just remember, adventure through dependability.